This is the Happen to Your Career podcast with Scott Anthony Barlow.
We help you stop doing work that doesn't fit you, figure out what does, and make it happen.
We help you define the work that is unapologetically you and then go get it.
If you feel like you were meant for more and you're ready to make a change, keep listening.
Here's Scott.
Here's Scott.
Here's Scott.
You might have been in this situation before. You're staring at the interviewer with a smile plastered on your face, just waiting for your cue. Butterflies in your stomach are on overdrive, and why can't you figure out what to do with your hands? Then it happens. Finally, the interview flips through your file, folds her hands on top of her desk, looks at you expectantly, and says the words that strike fear into the hearts of every job seeker. So, tell me about yourself. Do you start at childhood, or do you fast forward to high school and the time that you won the science fair? Or perhaps she'd like you to fast forward to today and tell her about the PR you achieved on your morning run. There's so many options, and so few of them are right. In fact, in my years as a hiring manager and then later on career coach, I would say there's a 70 to 80% chance you'll be asked this question in some form or another in your next interview. And then there's about a 90% chance that you'll answer it wrong. Those are not great odds. But never fear, once you learn how to frame your response, you'll actually look forward to answering this question. It's a huge gift. It's a softball opportunity for you to tell them exactly why they should hire you by demonstrating how you already fit what they're looking for. So, what are they looking for? When a hiring manager says, tell me about yourself, they don't want a 10-minute discourse on your likes, dislikes, and your views of the latest episode of The Bachelor. Instead, they're looking for information that allows them to figure out whether you'll be a good fit at the company, the organization, and the particular role that they're interviewing for. The better you can position yourself, the better your chances of standing out and making the interviewer say, heck yeah, even if it's only in their head. So if it's not recommended to talk about your inspirational fifth grade teacher or your morning workout, then what exactly should you include? Well, there are several different formulas that we use that are highly effective, and I want to share one of my favorites with you. Okay, so here's how to frame your answer. I call it the present, past, future, plus a little love framework. It goes something like this. Interviewer goes, okay, tell me about yourself. You say, well, I currently, and this is where you insert your present situation. Before that, and you insert a quick summary of your past situations. In the future, this is where you insert what you are looking to do and want to do in the future. Now, I'll get to the little love part here in just a bit, but okay, this is obviously the point where the interviewer will stop everything and let you know you got the job. Okay, this is not quite that effective of a formula, but it does work amazingly well. The key here is knowing exactly how your strengths are relevant to the position and company that you're interested in. Now, we're not going to go deep into that in this episode. We've done many episodes on strengths in the past here, but I want to share an example of what this framework sounds like in action. So let's use a real world scenario. Let's say that I am a human resource manager interviewing for a position in training and development. If you're not familiar with HR or training and development, or sometimes it's called L&D, learning and development, and there's some other names for it too. That said, this means that this would be a career change for me because it's in the same realm, but not necessarily the same thing I have specific experience in, job title experience in. Okay, so it would go something like this. Interviewer goes, tell me about yourself. I then get to say, hey, currently I'm an HR manager with XYZ organization. I am responsible for the labor budget of around $7 million and all things people related. One of my favorite things is working on training and development projects. And I just want to give you one example. I got to create a training program from the ground up to teach our leadership teams how to coach with a growth mindset. And after we put that into practice, we saw an average increase in productivity by 9%. 9% with all the departments of the leaders that went through the program. Before that, I worked with other companies in other types of HR and HR management, specifically in global retention. In the future, though, I would really love to work with a company helping them improve their business by making learning, training, and development a real living part of their organization and culture. I've discovered that my favorite things I've done in the last 10 years are all in this area. Okay, let's break that down here for a moment. You might have picked up on a few things I did in this example. I answered the question only with relevant information. I didn't add extra information, no matter how impressive. And I just want to make a point here really quick. You can include personal information if it's relevant. In this example, I was strictly focused on professional related information. But if it's relevant or it's useful to what you're trying to accomplish, it's okay to include personal information. The key is relevancy, not whether it is professional or personal. Okay. Number 2 here, I focused on what positions me as an expert. I talked specific metrics such as reducing turnover 10% and managing a $7 million budget. This helps people understand the scope of what you've done. Make sure it's applicable to the scope of the new opportunity too, in one way or another. I shared what I'm excited about. This meant that when I said this framework should include a little love, in my example, I didn't say, I'm really strong in blah, blah, blah. I said, what I'd love to do is this. What I enjoy doing is this. People assume when you love something that you're good at it. So when I say I love getting buy-in on company-wide initiatives, first of all, it needs to be true. Don't fake it. But what I'm doing is I'm actually helping them see me in that role. They can envision me in that role. So managers want to hire not just for competency, but for energy, engagement, and a whole host of other things as well. That's what creates fit. That's what allows us to envision fit as human beings. So telling them what makes me excited shows them that I'd bring motivation and energy to this role, to them, to their team, whatever else. So here's what you can do. You can write out your script in the present, past, future, plus a little love framework, focusing on your strengths and the relevant portions of your story. As you interview with different organizations for different roles, you'll need to customize this every time to what's relevant for them. Remember, we said earlier, our key is relevancy. Practice sharing your answer verbally until it sounds natural. We don't want this to sound rehearsed. We want you to be able to just rattle off the important points in a very natural way. Practice it while you're driving in your car, record yourself on your phone, listen back, test it out live in your next interview. If you want help with any part of your career change process, your interview process, or anything else that relates to your career, reach out and we'll figure out the very best way that we can support you. Whether you're interested in making an intentional career change or if there are certain parts of your career change process that you need the most help with, just drop me an email, scott@happentoyourcareer.com with conversation in the subject line, and I will get you connected with someone from our team and we'll figure out the very best way that we can support you. All right, until next week, adios. I am out.